Hi everyone, Paolo here, so welcome back to just another dang how-to channel. So this time, this is going to be a Swift how-to tutorial. So I have an application listed in the App Store where I have in-app purchases. I made a small edit on that one, and when I submitted it, it got rejected for review. So I decided to rewrite that in-app purchasing use from the old method, from the old framework to the new StoreKit framework, which is more in line with the latest patterns like concurrency and async. So let me take you through the code. Let's go. Yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I have here on the right is the application that we're going to build. So this is based on the new in-app purchase StoreKit framework. So this one is using the latest features from Swift like concurrency and async and a new set of APIs for the in-app purchase. I have a list of items here, or say products, that has been configured locally in Xcode, not in App Store. So it's reading it from a StoreKit file in Xcode, and it's listing out all the in-app products that I've configured in there. So if I click on an item here, I'll have the option to purchase it from the simulator. Previously, you can't do this. So if I click on purchase here, I should be able to get that message. And I click on restore purchase here, it would ask you to sign in. So previously, when you implemented the restore purchase, you would need to check that maintain all the items that the customer already purchased or have restore that in that manner. So that's now all configured within the new API. So if you purchase an item, regardless of which device you are in, it would start syncing automatically. No need for restore purchase. The only use of the restore purchase is to authorize again. So basically that's it. And another cool feature of this one is you could play around with different transaction states. Like for example, you make a purchase and it needs authorization for the parents. So that could put it on a different state, and while that transaction is being worked on, once that is approved, then it would start reflecting in your app. So all of that is managed to this new API. All right, so let's jump a little bit on the code and how we'll be able to do this. So first, open up Xcode, and then let's create a new project. So I'm just gonna call this YouTube demo StoreKit 2. We're not gonna use core data or have any tests in this one. Save it locally in your drive. Cool. So first thing we want to do is create a new file. So right click or just say Command N. Here search for StoreKit, and from here just click on next. You have the option to sync this file with an App Store Connect. So if you already have an existing project and you just want those projects to be listed down locally, you could do that, but that would only be a read-only scenario. But you could somehow convert those into editable file. So for this one, I'm just gonna say product. I don't have any App Store for this app. Cool. So for the product there, I have the option here to click on the plus icon, and I would have the other options for all the different kinds of in-app purchases, either consumable, non-consumable, non-renewing, or auto-renewable. So all of that is on the documentation. You can check that out. But for this video, we're just going to cover non-consumable, which is kind of easy to set up. So similar to how you would do it in the App Store, you would be asked for a reference name. So put it that way, and you would be asked for a product ID. So this needs to be unique. Normally it's in the reverse domain structure, so you could do it that way if you like. Put a price, family sharings, I'm just gonna leave that off. We're not gonna cover that. Localization depends on the locale you're selling to. You could configure how the text is displayed. So for here, just gonna say Swift, and the same for the description, say Swift. If you click on plus here, you would have access to all the different locales that are currently supported. Cool. So let me create another one just for, and the same thing, it's non-consumable, and I say UE5. And say Unreal Engine 5. Click on done. Cool. Now the next thing you want is actually, I'm going to create a property list. So this is how they did it on the tutorial. So they have a property list where they hard coded all the product IDs. So because you can't, I don't think you could directly query the product ID from this StoreKit configuration file. So this is just basically a key pair file where you keep the key and then the value. So let me open, did I copy that one to the wrong one? I did. So I'm just gonna say UE5 here. Then what you could do is you could read this property file from Swift. So next, let's create a new file. Let's create a new class. Let's say StoreKit Manager. I want to import StoreKit. That's the first thing I want to do. You want to import, you want to create a class, StoreKit Manager, and make it observable object. All right. So I'm just going to copy over some codes to make it easier and less error prone. The first two variables is the store products, which is an array of products. So this is the new API. It's called product, and also an array of purchase cards. And I also want to store the dictionary of all those items in our property list file. To load those items in the dictionary, we load them to the initializer. So I have here text I'm going to put in here. So basically this is looking into the bundle path and checking for the product list. So this is actually, we called it property list. So let me change that to property list, and of type of plist. And then we assign that plist by reading through using the file manager for that path. If it finds that path, then we could unwrap that plist file using the property list serialization. It's gonna read that file and then assign it as a array of dictionary similar to this one. If it can't find it, because it's optional, just set it to empty. And similarly, if it can't read the file, just produce an empty dictionary. So basically that's the first part of the code. So we initialize it, and then next is we wanna request all these products, right? So we're gonna create here another item, another method. So this one's gonna be using the main actor. So we have the main actor annotated here because we want it to be asynchronous and still be on the same thread. So we have a function called request product. It's asynchronous. We're gonna do a do catch because we're gonna do a try and await here. So we're gonna read the product, and then for each of the products, we're gonna pass the product dictionary that we just called, and then we're gonna pass in all the values. So basically product values, and that should iterate to all these IDs that we have in here. Going back here, and then we're gonna assign that to the store products here. Once it's assigned, that it should redraw on the screen. So if I quickly jump into the content view, and let's do a basic for each in here. Before we do a for each, first let's initialize the state object. So state object var say StoreKit is equals to StoreKit manager. Cool. And then we could do the for each. So say StoreKit and then store products product in, and for now let's just call the display name product display name. So let's run this. So right now nothing's happening. So the one that you need to do is actually go under here and select edit scheme, and under your run configuration, under StoreKit configurator, you would see you have option to specify a StoreKit file. So this is the StoreKit file that we have, so we wanted to read from there, and click on close. Right, the reason is because we didn't call it from our initializer. Silly me. So let's try doing a task under the main thread for the product requests. So this time, if I refresh this, move this a little bit to the side, so now you can see it's reading it. Quickly just show you that run configuration that we did. So if I turn this to none and then click on close, could be cache. Let me run that again. You would see that you get this error. There's nothing to retrieve. There's no product. So that's the use of this edit scheme, where you configure the run command for using the StoreKit configuration file. So let me close that. So now that we have the product sorted, we could start displaying even the price as well. So let me go back to the content view, and I'll create a better H tag here. So H tag, let's put a spacer, and then we want a button. So the button would take an action. Right now we don't have an action yet, but here we could specify the price, product, and say if I run this, you would see it shows there. Probably let me disable the canvas here for now to make it easier. So the next is, now that we know that we could read from the file, if I tap on this, I want to be able to be prompted for the purchase of it. So the next thing we want to do is create a purchase method. So let's go back to the StoreKit manager. I'm gonna paste a bunch of items here, paste that function here. So this is the function that we're gonna call. Basically just one parameter. You could pass in the product itself, and within the product there's an option to purchase it. So we're gonna do this asynchronous as well. So you're gonna try to purchase the product, and then you'll get a result. So the framework will be validated for us. So there's going to be a JW token for this one, so that would be on the result. It's up to us to verify if that result was successful. So there's a cool method that the guys wrote for this one. So basically it's some sort of generic verification. So let me put this one in there. Cool. So it's gonna take in that verification result, and depending on that result, if it's verified or unverified, you want to do something with it, right? So if it's unverified, meaning the JWS passes the StoreKit to us and it's unverified, we don't want to proceed with the transaction, right? So here there's a enum that we need to specify, so just to handle this one, so let me paste that enum down here at the bottom, and then if it's verified, then we unwrap it and then return it back, so as a generic here. So that items that get returned back here would be the transaction itself, and then after that transaction is returned, we want to update the customer status. So this is another method. So update customer status is basically checking all the items that the customer purchased, we're gonna update that purchase courses that we specified earlier. So we want to populate this with the purchase courses. So basically you loop through all those transactions from this result, and then from each one of those results you do a verify again. So it depends, like if there's multiple transactions, you want to verify that each transaction is verified. So for each one of those transactions you match the product ID, and then for all of those product ID that matches, you want to put that on the purchase courses. And that's a way for us to figure out which of the store items they already purchased. And then from there you assign, because this is stored temporarily here, you assign it to the purchase courses, and that should reflect shortly. So which is pretty cool. So let me save this and let me rebuild it so we know it's still working. Cool. And then now we could call that buy purchase from the button here. So if I call and say trial weight StoreKit purchase, and then you pass in the product as we mentioned, and then that should technically allow you to purchase that item. So if I now run this and click one of these items, I'll now get this purchase confirmation. But you would see here I got an error here on the debugger here on the console. Making a purchase without a listener for a transaction update is update risk missing successful purchases. Create a task to iterate transaction update at launch. So what this is saying, you need to have some sort of listener. So if I try to purchase this, it's gonna say it all set, but it's nothing's happening on our UI here, because this is still iterating to all the store items. We're not segregating which one are purchased and which one are not. So to quickly fix this, I created a new struct, which I'll add here at the bottom, which will cover. So basically this is a course item where we have an observe object passing in the StoreKit manager, and then we have a new state is purchased, and then we have the product itself. And if the product is purchased, we show something different like a checkbox. If it's not, then we show the display price. And then at the bottom here we have an on change. So if this store purchase changes, then we want to update the is purchased boolean here to true. So every time this changes, we want to update that. So let me jump here on my code, and simply we want to change this item now. So if I refresh this, we want to import StoreKit for this one. So import StoreKit and refresh. So StoreKit has no is purchase, so this is another method that we want to implement on our StoreKit manager. So let me jump here and let me walk you through that. So is purchase, basically you're passing the product and you're checking if the purchase courses is in there. So let me put it at the bottom here. So you pass in the product, you throw an error if you can find it, but basically it's true or false. So if the purchase items contain that product, that means it's true. So now if I rerun this, there should be no error, and this should be showing true, but somehow it's still showing cool. So now it's showing both items are purchased. But if you notice, if I refresh, rebuild the app, it's always showing me to purchase. If I click on that, I won't be prompted for the purchase anymore. So to fix this, so let's go back to our class, and from here let's create that listener. And from here we want that listener. Basically it's a function that's gonna be a task as well, that's kind of detached. It's gonna listen for transaction updates. So if there's a new update that happens, we want to verify that transaction as well. We're gonna call the same operation we were calling the update customer product status, and that would put all those purchase items in the from the store to the purchase courses here, and then we always want to finish that transaction. So we need to call this at the very start of the, let me create a new variable here. It's going to be called update listener task, and then from here we want to assign in the initializer, we want to assign this method. So in it we want to listen for transactions. Another good way is if the transaction closes or we quit the app, we want to stop listening for any transaction. So another item here on the task is we want to update the project status on load as well. So this should allow us to check what are the latest item, what are the store products, and then assign them to the purchase courses, and that should update our UI right here. So if I refresh this now, you should see it's now loaded. So if I quickly change the scheme, so one way to reset this scheme is go back here, remove the StoreKit configuration, set it to none, click on close, and then rebuild it again. Sometimes you may need to do it twice. Now we get an error saying there's nothing to read from there. So I go back to my scheme here and then go to StoreKit and rebuild it again. Now it's reset, and if I click on purchase here again, now I click on purchase, you would see I no longer get that error for listener event. That's risky. So that is now working. So another cool thing about this that I want to show you about that listener is if I go here, actually go here on products. Once you're here on product, if you go under editor, you could have enable ask to buy. So this is like simulating a child buying an item and then the parent would approve it. So I would need to probably rebuild this again and click here and click on purchase. See, I get a request to buy Swift will be sent to your parent or guardian. Click on ask. So if you see that item didn't get updated to purchase yet, and here if I click on this transactions button here, you would see all the transactions. So if I click on here, this item here, I have a pending approval. So I could click in here, right click, and then say approve transaction. So if I approve this, notice what happens in the UI here. So it automatically gets updated. So that's what the listener is doing. So it saw a transaction change, it updated the purchase items, and now we have it here. Cool. Then the next other item that I just want to quickly cover is, so if you have another device and you want to restore all your purchases, you simply need to sign into your account on that device, and that should automatically sync everything. Basically just sign on to your account and that should restore everything. So that's the purpose of this other line of code that I'm going to add. So if I go under the VStack and call restore purchases, this is basically when you call this, it's going to ask you to sign into your account, and then the App Store sync by itself. That would start syncing all your purchase items back to that account. Cool. So hope you like this video. I know it's kind of long and I kind of fumbled around along the way. Hope you find it useful. Thumbs up, thumbs down. If you want more of these items, please let me know. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye for now.